Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're doing something really exciting. We are taking a deep dive right into the architecture of your own potential. We're going to synthesize classical self-help philosophy, drawing from some of the absolute most profound thinkers of the past 2 centuries, and we're turning it into a modern, highly actionable guide. We've distilled their most powerful insights down to the 10 laws of the self-reliant soul. If you have ever felt completely overwhelmed by the external world, well, this breakdown is going to completely reframe how you navigate it.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Are you truly the maker of your own destiny? Or are you just a victim of circumstance, kind of getting tossed around by the whims of fate and luck? It's the ultimate question, isn't it? Who truly controls your life? Most of us, if we're being totally honest, oscillate back and forth between those two states. But the classical masters we are about to study, they believed there was only one correct answer. To find that answer, we are synthesizing some absolute heavyweights of philosophical thought. We're pulling directly from the 19th and 20th century wisdom of Ralph Waldo Emerson, the profound spiritual insights of Swami Vivekananda, the strict mental discipline of James Allen, and the wonderfully practical, colloquial brilliance of Florence Scovel. By putting all their perspectives together, we're building a bulletproof framework for absolute self-reliance.
So our journey today happens in 3 phases. Let's kick things off with Phase 1, Awakening the Mind.
This is the absolutely crucial first step on our journey inward. Before you can interact effectively with the outside world, you have to lock in one fundamental truth. All the knowledge, power, and strength you will ever need are already entirely generated from within you. And that brings us to Law 1, absolute self-trust. Ralph Waldo Emerson lays down a strict mandate here. He says, "Trust thyself, every heart vibrates to that iron string." He argues that literally nothing is sacred except the integrity of your own mind. You've got to accept the place providence has found for you and completely confide in your own inner genius. You're not meant to be a coward fleeing before a revolution. You are meant to be a guide and a benefactor. And that whole process starts with trusting the absolute truth seated right at your own heart.
Building right off of that trust, Swami Vivekananda introduces Law 2, internal knowledge. And he argues a bit of a paradox here. He says that no knowledge exists out in the material world. None. It is all contained within the human mind. Learning isn't about stuffing things into your brain. It's an active process of uncovering what is actually already there. Think of it like fire laying dormant in a piece of flint. The outside world? It merely provides the friction, the suggestion, that brings your own infinite energy and intellect out into the open.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how this internal power acts as a strict mechanism of cause and effect. Enter Law 4, thought mastery. The mind is the master weaver. You don't just mysteriously happen upon foulness or disease. Lazy and impure thoughts literally crystallize into habits, which then solidify into those exact adverse circumstances. But on the flip side, beautiful and courageous thoughts inevitably weave an outer garment of grace, freedom, and sunny circumstances. It's a direct line. You are entirely reaping your own harvest.
All right, moving right along to Phase 2, standing apart. Now that your mind is awake, you've got to protect it.
Because once you've awakened your mind and realized you are the master weaver of your reality, you're faced with a totally new challenge. You have to protect this newly awakened mind from the overwhelming noise, the opinions, and the intense pressures of society. And to do that, you need Law 3, nonconformity. Emerson puts it bluntly, "Whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist." If you want to achieve true greatness, you cannot be hindered by what society just slaps the label of goodness on. You have to bravely explore if it actually is goodness according to your own constitution. Look, it's super easy to live by the world's opinion when you're in a crowd, but true greatness is maintaining the independence of solitude even when you are completely surrounded by the mob. You have to be the unmoving anchor in all that chaos.
And to maintain that independence, you practice Law 7, the internal ocean. Emerson warns us that society has essentially become a mob, constantly going abroad to beg a cup of water from the urns of other men. We desperately seek external validation. But the self-reliant soul? You must stop begging. You must admonish your genius to stay at home and connect with that vast, spiritual, internal ocean inside yourself. Your isolation shouldn't just be some mechanical withdrawal. It must be an active, spiritual elevation.
So here is a playful little challenge for you as you sit there absorbing all this. What happens when you say absolutely nothing at all? When you withhold your opinion, when you just stay silent in a room full of noise? You might think you're hiding, or that your verdict is simply waiting to be heard. But the crazy truth is, you are actually constantly speaking.
Which leads us directly into Law 6, silent character. Emerson teaches that character teaches above our wills. Virtue or vice, they emit a breath every single moment. People around you instantly know if you can help them without you having to utter a single syllable because human character evermore publishes itself. The very air of how you do a thing reveals your inner nature. In short, your silence answers very, very loud.
And that brings us to our final stretch. Phase 3, moving with the universe.
Okay, so you've awakened the mind and you've learned to stand apart from the mob. But hey, you still have to actually live in the physical world. To survive and interact with adverse forces, we need to reframe a really popular concept. Under Law 8, unattached action, Vivekananda defines karma not as some sort of cosmic punishment, but as every mental and physical blow given to the soul by which its own internal power is discovered. We are all doing karma all the time. The real secret to massive power is to work continuously without attaching yourself to the fruits or the results of that work. Every blow is just striking the flint to reveal your inner fire.
So, the crucial point is, how do we actually handle those difficult blows in real time? Well, Florence Scovel-Shinn gives us the incredibly practical Law 5, non-resistance. When you face an inharmonious situation, you do 3 things. 1, face the adversary. 2, mentally agree that the situation is actually good. 3, remain completely undisturbed. Shinn explains that when there is absolutely no emotional response from you to a negative situation, it literally just fades away from your pathway. It falls away of its own weight, because the inharmony was actually coming from within you all along.
And this brilliantly illustrates Law 9, intuitive guidance. Because when you practice non-resistance and you quiet down your emotional turmoil, you open the door to what Emerson calls the deep force. We denote this primary wisdom as intuition. Everything else you learn, that's just a tuition, a secondary lesson. The self-reliant soul learns to simply obey that spontaneous instinct that rises up in calm hours. It's the absolute last fact behind which analysis just cannot go. You simply listen and you obey that internal direction.
Which brings us to the culmination of this explainer, Law 10, principles over fortune. We absolutely must reject the illusion that fate, luck, or external circumstances dictate our worth. As James Allen tells us, a man doesn't go to jail by the tyranny of fate, but by the pathway of his own groveling thoughts. Circumstance does not make the man. No, it merely reveals him to himself. True freedom and profound peace are found only in the triumph of pure thoughts and inner principles.
We have covered some incredible ground today, traversing everything from absolute self-trust to mastering our thoughts and finally learning how to face the world with undisturbed non-resistance. But look, all of this knowledge only matters if it is actually applied. So I want to leave you with this one lingering, provocative question to carry with you. When you step away from this explainer today and you walk into a crowded room, what will your character publish to the world in silence?